What's up, Buck fans? Real Bucks Talk back with another live stream. Today we're back. It's transitioning to week 14. I'm Mark, this is Michael Plus as always.
What up?
We're going to talk some bye-week talk. We're going to have a special guest on a little bit later, Brent Allen from the Pewter Cast. Really cool. Haven't had him on the show yet. So we'll get a little vibe from other people, how the Bucs have been doing. 7-5. Last time we lost against the Chiefs, it was a very close game in the end of the game, 27-24. But with a week to relax and marinate in what's going on, we're still above 500, still great path to the playoffs. I guess give me your quick rundown. How do you feel as a Buck fan, and do you think we have a really good chance to make the playoffs right now? And anyone, make sure to leave your comments in the chat. We'll try and get to those as quickly as possible. But Plus, give me your rundown.
Yeah, I think if you're a Bucs fan right now, you got to feel pretty good. I mean, especially given what has happened, over the past couple of years. This is usually the time we're talking draft picks or talking draft, and we haven't really talked the draft at all, this year, which is nice. So, I mean, you're sitting right there in the 6th spot, for one of the wild cards. And, I think you have to like your chances right now as far as the schedule goes against, what these other teams have to play up against. So I think you're in a really good spot going forward. So you look at the offense, defense, I think they're starting to figure out slowly, what they can be. I think they've seen it on tape. I think both sides have showed glimpses. Obviously, now it's just about putting everything together. And hopefully we can do that starting this week against Minnesota, which is a big game. So yeah, I think you have to be pretty happy with where the Bucs stand right now. And it's all on their shoulders. I mean, they control their own destiny. I think that's what you want.
Absolutely. I think what you're going to see, you hope. I mean, we talk about this almost every Monday. You hope the coaching staff sees how good play action works, how much feeding Rojo the ball will help Tom Brady. You don't have to have it to be effective, but also when you do run it, don't give away what the hell you're going to do. We've seen it way too many times. They just run right up the A-gap, right up the butt of the center, and you're like in the same formations. And then they run it out of shotgun, and it's successful. Or they start pulling the left tackle, left guard, and it's something that is uncharacteristic and not normal to what we always do, and it's successful. So do things a little bit out of the norm. We're not saying get away from your system because obviously things work. It's just timely. Don't every first down in the first 3 quarters run the ball. Like it's sad to see. So hopefully they kind of look at their analytical reports. I know it's hard for them to do, but you hope they kind of talked all together. And I have all faith in the world in Tom Brady to get it together and actually understand where he's executing a little bit too fast or working with his wide receivers, tight ends to work on execution of timing. Because this is all this is. It's a perfect team game that we showed in the last game. Those first 4 drives, they could have continued to go easily. It's just more little things, little executed timing routes that they didn't get on those third downs. So, hey, Raymond, what's going on?
Hey, Raymond.
It's just those little things where we hope they can kind of execute this time around.
Right.
Oh, we got Brent in the waiting room. Let's see when he's ready. Give me the thumbs up when he's ready already. So, okay, guys. So let's get a really, really, I guess let's introduce him this way. Really, whole lot of people in the Bucs community should know about this guy. Great podcast, the Pewter Cast himself, Brent Allen. Let's get him in the stream.
What's up, everybody?
Brent Allen, nice to have you aboard.
Man, it's so good. Mark, you and I haven't talked in a while. Michael, I know you and I get to chit chat every once in a while, but man, you guys are, you are 2 great friends in this Bucs podcasting world that we have out here. And I'm thrilled to death to get to come hang out with you guys on your show for a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to have you on.
Right. I think I've seen Brent maybe twice in person, both at games. And that's
about
it.
True. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's about true. Maybe 3 times.
Possibly, right? This is probably the 4th, maybe. But
a couple games in the draft, I think, is probably about it.
Yeah. It's always good times. But so thankfully we got you on the show. We can talk some to hear from a different perspective, I guess we'd say. Because we kind of harp on the same points over and over and over. And to us, it's like just kind of look at it in a different picture. So that's where we're kind of getting your opinion. So from your eyes, this 7-5 Buccaneers team, what's going on? What's the problems? And where do you see them going? I know it's a very broad question, but let's get it.
Well, I mean, let's break that apart.
So 7-5, what got us there?
So 7-5, you can't blame excuses, right? Everybody's in the same situation in the NFL, but you still have to look at no offseason, brand new quarterback coming into a new system who's kind of got stuck in his old ways. A handful of new players, but really not a lot. Like it's really just the quarterback, you know?
Yeah.
Most everybody else is in their second year and coming off a little bit of an uptick, at least in their individual deals. So I think that factors into it somewhat. I think it certainly explains the first game. I don't think it explains a lot of the other games, you know? But I think it's just a lot of growing pains. And I think that here's what I'm starting to wonder. And I don't know. In fact, you guys probably would have a better beat on this than I would. You guys remember when Lovie Smith came back into town and he brings in the old Tampa 2, and we're gonna be faithful to the Tampa 2, and this is my system. And he was more married to his system than he was to the players that he had around him and doing what he needed to do within that system. And I wonder if Bruce Arians is in a spot where his system has become dated in the NFL. You know, and I don't know. I'm not saying that it has. I'm just saying I'm wondering if that's it. Like, have other coaches figured out this system? Because there really doesn't seem to be a whole lot of creativity. You know, I look at that. I mean, the great play that the Dolphins had in their game yesterday that unfortunately got called back because somebody didn't rub his chest the right way. But it was a great play. You know, you look at some of these things that other coaches and Bruce Arians isn't doing it. Now, on an offensive side of the ball, like, we can complain a lot, but this is the highest scoring team this franchise has ever fielded. And it's a really high scoring team, which blows my mind, by the way, because it doesn't feel like it. Right. You know, like, I know cognitively it is. You go, wow, look how many 40-point games we've had, and look at this and look at that. I cognitively, I get it. It just doesn't feel like that to me, you know? But I really wonder with, you know, a Todd Bowles type situation of Bruce Arians, I just wonder if that's where we are, is people have kind of figured it out. And, you know, is it you know, so I think it's an amalgamation of all of those things, you know? And some of it, like, I really want to know if there's something between Tom Brady and Mike Evans, you know, because it's very, I said this on the Pewter Cast a couple weeks ago. It's very reminiscent of Jameis Winston and Deshaun Jackson to me. Maybe less intentional. Deshaun seemed a lot more intentional to me, but there's just not a sync yet. Can we blame it? I mean, we're at 12 weeks into the season. Can we blame that still? I don't know. So I think that's how we got to 7-5. And I don't know what's going on with defense. I mean, defense was hopping and bumping, and then all of a sudden not. And you're going, what in the world? And my co-host Ren said that he was listening to, I want to say it was John Ledyard over at Pewter Report, and they were talking to some of the media people from New Jersey, where the Jets were when Todd Bowles was the coach up there. And they were like, why does he all of a sudden switch this defense into this weird soft thing? And like, we don't know. We tried asking him for 4 years and we couldn't figure it out. And it drove us crazy too. So get used to it. He does that. I'm going, okay, well, fine. So I think that's going to be I think that's where we are, is there's just this weird, all of these things sort of kind of come together, but we've got really, really good players. Right. Like, that's why we're 7 and not 5. That's why we're 7-5, not 5-7. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, we've got some good players, and we've got players who know what they're doing. Like, look, Tom Brady and Mike Evans may not have a whole lot of chemistry right now, but they both know what they're doing, and they can make things happen. So I think you have that. I think the next question you asked is where do I see us going from here?
Well, let's touch on that first. I'll let Plus kind of answer that a little bit.
Back to what you were saying about creativity. I completely agree with you. I think this offense requires a lot of high level execution. Like, it has to be very, specific, detailed. execute it in a right way for it to work consistently. You know, we can have our flashes and we've seen them, but it hasn't been consistent. We have usually those setbacks, or, you know, something happens where, the offense stalls out, or, you know, we've seen it the last couple of weeks with these 3 and outs because the execution is not there. So I agree with you as far as the creativity, and maybe it is dated. But then again, I look at it, and when it is executed, it's a thing of beauty because it works. So there is options there for the quarterback. And again, it's a quarterback driven system.
Right.
So a lot of it does go on his shoulders. And that's the tough part, because they don't make it very easy for him, you know, and there's certain plays where, you know, we do that and it's like, okay, this is working. Why do we continue to do so? But then we go back to, like you said, you know, the marriage to the system and continue to play it that way.
Well,
I was kind of bounce off that real quick.
Yeah.
Like, so where do you guys come down on the whole idea of, is it coaching and system versus player execution? Because I you know, like, now I don't coach professional league anything. I coach 8-year-olds playing baseball.
Right.
But I know that I can go out there and coach. At some level, I can't pick up a bat. I can't pick up a glove. The kids got to go do it. You know, like, once they get out there, that's not on me. That's them. And I will yell and scream my head off at them. But at some level, it's player execution. How much of what we're seeing is the players not executing versus coaches not coaching? What do you think?
I'm going to say it's really close, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because there's some situations where, like you said, we have that much talent on this team. They are loaded all across, offensively and defensively.
Yeah.
It's more, what are they being asked to do as opposed to what are they actually doing? Because there were times where, defensively against the Chiefs, they actually had a good game plan. They just didn't execute it correctly. Same thing with offense. Like, we always ask them play action, run the ball more, just to give Brady a better chance to execute better. But then you have times where it's timing routes. Brady going up to catch the ball, goes right through his hands. Godwin cuts in, it hits one hand, doesn't hit two. So it's like these things stall drives, and then you're down 17-0 immediately. So it's with those calls immediately during the game, I'm like, damn it, they're doing the same crap. But realistically, they had opportunities. So that was execution there. Defensively, sometimes you can't just man up Carlton Davis a lot of times, but Winfield should have been over the top to help out. And so in that 75-yard touchdown situation. So it's hard. It's hard to say exactly which one it is. But
you know, and I want to talk about that, about the Carlton Davis thing this past week. Look, Carlton Davis is, in my opinion, one of the best cornerbacks in the league. He's been performing as one of the best. I don't know that I'd say he's the best. I don't know that he's should be Pro Bowl worthy. Maybe not. But I think he's damn good, right? Every player has an off day, right?
Yeah.
Or they just get a bad matchup. It should not take you very long into the game before you look at a player and you go, hey, he just doesn't have it tonight, or this guy's got his lunch today. And you have to make a shift. And the fact that they didn't make that shift, you're like, no. You've got to be able you can't go into with a staunch, this is the game plan and this is what we're sticking to. You've got to be able to move that around, you know? Right. And if it's just not working, it's okay. Like, I mean, it's not okay, but it's okay. Like, you know, you just got to make that adjustment.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the thing with this coaching staff, and going back to the point of like execution with the players, and, you know, whether it's scheme verse or, you know, it's a combination of all those things. But where our frustration comes in is the way they set things up and how they approach the game, you know, the game plan itself. And like you just said, being able to adapt to what is going on in game and their game management has been very poor. It's been poor with, you know, use of timeouts. It's been poor with challenges, etc. So those are things that definitely need to be better. Like, if you understand, like, you have a matchup with Gronkowski and you see it, like, it's going to be available pretty much the whole game. That is something we would like to see them attack more and utilize. You know, it's just stuff like that. Same thing with Rojo. We know Rojo is the best runner on this team, but they continue the use of Leonard Fournette which makes no sense.
It makes Fournette just the happiest man alive.
Leonard Fournette cannot run the football. He can't see the holes. He can't run. He runs tentative. He can't catch the ball. He can't block. So why is he out there? We don't know. So those are things that, get frustrating. And the same thing, like you said, with Carlton Davis, he's getting beat. He got beat already, multiple times, and you continue to play the same coverage throughout the first half. Makes no sense.
Right.
And then they adjust in the second half, things work, and we start catching up. So it's just, bottom line, each side can be better, but I think it's the coach's job to make sure that they put these players in easier situations so the execution doesn't have to be damn near perfect every freaking time.
So, a lot of the things, to sum it all up, it's 50-50. A lot of it is players not, I guess, how would you say, executing correctly, coaching, play action, motioning. And then that's another topic I wanted to bring up. People, because BA mentioned, we don't like jet sweeps. No one's asking you to do a jet sweep. I don't know where the hell he got that. Just because the Packers or the Rams do jet sweeps all the time. That's not what we're asking for. We're asking you to just move people in motion to have Brady get a better idea of what the defense is trying to do to him. Is it a man? Is it zone? Who's on who? Is there a linebacker on the running back? Is there a short corner on my Gronkowski 6'7" tight end? Give them better answers. That's all we're asking. And and then he says, just play them so they know who to block. That just blows my mind. I'm like, that is almost dinosaur age there. Like, that's saying that your players are too dumb to execute just because one player moves over. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. That drives me wild. Like that's crazy to me. But
especially when you're talking about a line, and all the way across, with the exception of one person, that this is not their first year in the league. They've been around. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like they've all been around. Like, this is not new people. Like, it's not always plug and play, but this is about as most plug and play as I think you get. And you guys bring up the Rojo and the Fournette thing. Look, when they signed Fournette, I believed in the core of my being that Leonard Fournette was going to come in here and he was going to take Rojo's spot. He was going to be the number one running back on this team. I believed it with everything in my body. I am glad to eat those words because I was wrong. And I have been banging the table and banging the fist. And I know, BA watches every episode of the Pewter Cast. So, he's getting an earful of it from me. But, as that ties into the overarching idea of identity, we've been hearing that a lot in the social media ether. Like, this team has no identity on offense and stuff. Look, guys, I can define it for us real quick. Here's the identity. Rojo gets it 20 times a game. Mike Evans gets it 10 to 15 times a game, and then it spreads out across everybody else. And that's it. Like, that's how we win. That's how we go do it. Oh, and by the way, we're still scoring 40 plus points in a lot of games. It blows my mind. But and the identity of this defense is mostly, I know you can't do this every single play and every single game, but is full press, get them in there, get them in their faces, coverage. Right. And that goes for the line, that goes for the rushers, and that goes for your secondary. And they're aggressive and they're in there. Now, special teams just sucks, it seems like, all the way around. But whatever, we can make up for it with the other two. But there is no more infuriating thing to me. And this goes all the way back to the days of Doug Martin and Charles Sims for me, which just sort of dates when the Pewter Cast kind of started covering this team. Of looking up and seeing that other guy get in. Yeah. Like, why is he in? Why? Yeah. It's not that good. Just give it to the other. There's no reason. Unless the guy's taking a breather, there's no other reason.
Or Dare, right?
Dare, yeah. Charles, who was the guy? It's like you're looking up watching, like, what was his name? Mike James? You guys remember him? Like, Mike James is in the game. Why?
It's upset. Like, that's what we talk about with coaching, though. Utilizing your players correctly, because you'll see sometimes where they level concept just so many great routes, and you're like, this is what we need to be running, or the play actions that always work. Brady's like the top 5 quarterback when you use play action, but some reason they don't like running play action. Why? No one knows. We've been saying it since week 1 of like 2 years ago. Still, it's something they just are hard-headed doing. Do I think they're going to continue to change massively? No. Do I think they'll make a little bit of a change? Yes, they should. I mean, hopefully they've understood that. And I can't stand to hear Byron Leftwich. Thankfully, they didn't have him talk during the bye week. We talked about this. So some of the crap he says, I'm like, dude, no. And then John Ledyard, actually, of Pewter Report, will almost ask him every week. Thankfully, he does this. I love that he does it. He asks him, should you run play action more? Like these are your stats. He's proving them with facts. These are your stats with play action. You're so much better. Why don't you do it? Oh, because we've got to get the run going, but we're going to put them in the position to be successful. Best positions to be. I can't stand that quote. Okay. But I think they prevented him from talking solely because people were getting upset.
Yeah, and he doesn't have a good answer. He just doesn't. So
it's the same answer
out there, guys. Like,
gosh.
Yeah, we're going to continue to run empty on 3rd and short, and we're just going to continue to do that. You know, it's working so well.
It's sound. It's
every time. You know, it's going to be productive, but yeah, it's just little things like that. You know, knowing that 12 personnel is their best formation when they throw the football. They're very successful out of that. They continue to not use it though. They like, they're 10 and 11 personnel. 11 personnel works when they use play action, but they just don't use it enough. And same with the big formations when they go 3 tight end sets, they run the football well out of that formation. They run the ball well out of 10 personnel, which is shotgun, and, spread them out. So it's just little things that they have to be better at, passing out of run formations, running the ball out of passing formations. So doing things that way to be more creative, like you said, is definitely, it's very frustrating to see that they continue to stick with their, specific ways, especially in certain situations.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. It's like being situational aware of what's going on, who you're playing against, who's out there covering your guys, understanding the matchups and attacking the weakest one. And that's really what we talk about all the time, is that's all we want. We want consistency in your approach, and it just hasn't been consistent. And that's why you see the up and downs and the up and flows of this offense and on defense as well.
I mean, Michael, that I think kind of goes back to sort of what I was, your first question. I was like, well, it's a little bit of this and it's a little bit of that. And it's a little bit of this, because there's nothing consistent about it. Like,
no.
Well, in this situation, it's been that, and over here, it's been this, and over there, it's been this. And it's sort of this whole thing. And, I mean, you guys remember a couple of years ago, like we'd kill to have been at 7-5 by this point in the season.
For sure.
I mean, we're already at the highest number of wins that we've had.
Yeah.
Except for one season.
I mean, we're repeating history already. I mean, 2016, this happened. We went on a run, got to 7-5. Again, this way it was a little bit different. We got out to 6-2. Then kind of, falling back here a little bit. But yeah, no, it's definitely happened. And I remember those times, So again, we're in a very good position still, at 7-5, even with all these problems. Yeah. So there's still a lot to be positive about.
Yeah.
But
I gotta tell you, I'd rather be having these conversations than the ones we've had the last bunch of years.
Oh yeah. It's already draft talk. Yeah. We're talking draft and positioning, and, it would be very tough to be a Jets fan right now. And all the,
you're trying hard. What are you talking about?
I know, but Jets,
Case
Jacksonville,
is not their coach next year, right?
Shouldn't be. I mean, I know they fired the defense coordinator, but I mean, the staff should be fired.
But seriously, but that's like firing Mike Smith in the middle of a season. Like, come on, guys.
Yeah,
we know what's coming up, right?
Right. Yep.
I was gonna ask you something, but I forgot what it was. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, but let me touch on one other thing. So, like, we do these film breakdowns, previews. We do these previews prior to the game,
right?
And it's things
I retweet those every time I see them, because you guys are fantastic at it. You're fantastic. Look, I'm going to say this. I'm sorry. I'm going to usurp your thing. People ask me all the time, hey, I want to start a new Bucs podcast. Do you have any advice for me? And I give the same advice to everybody. And anybody out there who's listening, you want to start a Bucs podcast or whatever you want to do, YouTube channel, whatever, do it. It's cool. Here's what I suggest you do. Look and see what other people are already doing out there, and find a way to add to the conversation. Don't just parrot and do what everybody else is already doing. Find something new. Find something that's not being covered, or find a viewpoint that's not coming at it. And that's what you guys do. And you guys have been doing it so well for so long. As far as film review breakdown, I know there's a couple other people out there that do it, and some of them do pretty good jobs too, but nobody does it the way you guys do, as thoroughly as you guys do. And I am a big fan of what you guys have been doing over here with those. And that's what I love the absolute most about what you guys do is you're not just copying what everybody else is doing. You're bringing a whole new conversation to that. And you know, I would tell everybody, you know, I try to retweet those out, all those film breakdowns and the game reviews. And you know, I point people back to this all the time because it's fantastic what you guys are doing.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Seriously, that's huge.
Yeah.
But to that point, what you're making all this sense. It's like with people, they see the game, you get emotional. You just start yelling, "Oh, we suck! Fire everyone! Get rid of them!"
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's never ever the case. That's just humans' reaction of emotion. If you go back and look at it, like we were showing you, it's like there is little things where you can build off of this. It's so close. Where at the end of the day, yeah, you hear media, they're just pounding it even more. Oh, but jump ship, it's terrible.
Yeah.
And then we show you something, it's like, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't all that bad. Yes, there are glaring areas where that need to be improved. Yeah. Like, especially defensively, middle linebacker, we can't cover the damn middle of the field. I mean, if you run a play action fake, Devin White's going to be lost. He's a given mistake hole in the middle of the field. He's going to chase whatever that moves.
Quan 2.0.
Right? He's a better athlete to me, but I mean, he's still in that mold where he can learn. And I think he has a capacity. It's just, come on, get better. But offensively, there's things there that I love. And then there's times where I'm like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah. And that's what we try to show. It's about the process. It's about the why. It's about the how.
Yeah.
You know, what is going on.
We didn't react based off emotion. We reacted based off of, we don't see anyone else talking about this. We want to show people it's not just the Bucs being stupid. There's reasons why things are happening. We're just trying to give you the why, like you're saying.
Yeah, you know, and two quick thoughts. One, the most infuriating thing that I see out there in the Bucs fandom right now that I crack up every time I see it, and it's mostly on Facebook. I see a little bit on Twitter. It's mostly on Facebook. I'm told all the time I should stay off Facebook, and they might be right. Is people that are calling for another coaching change this year. And I'm going, no, you're not going to fire a guy who's going 7-5 right now at this point in the season. I mean, unless he skids out.
Right.
And I'm not even sure if he skids out if you fire him at that point, to be honest with you. You know, it kind of depends, I think, on how we get there. If that happens, and I don't think that's going to happen, but if that happens, no, we're not. This team is damn close to being locked up for the playoffs for the first time in 13 years. You're not firing that coach.
No.
We might make a change at special teams coordinator. That's about it. You know? So we can stop with that foolishness. That is not going to happen. Here's the other thing. And you talk about the emotional side of it. And we have it, you know, our post-game show is all about the raw emotion. What are you feeling as soon as the game comes off the field? And then we used to have a show like midweek where it's like, okay, now let's actually think about it logically. And we sort of did away with that because you guys do this kind of work and we didn't have to anymore, which was great. But the Rams game, I want to go back to that. I haven't said this to anybody, I don't think, out there. The Rams game. I remember being in I was at that game. I was there with my son, and I remember getting to the end of that game and just going, "Welp, we lost, but that was a really good game. Like, they played really well." And you know, I mean, they went back and forth with the lead sometimes, and we came up at the end, and it was like we had a good time. It was a good, enjoyable football game. And then, like, I get in the car and, like, you know, you're stuck in traffic trying to get out of the stadium. And, like, so I flip on and Ren's doing our post-game show. And it's like the world is melting down. and I'm looking at social media and everybody's just, it's weeping and gnashing of teeth and hellfire and brimstone is coming down. I'm like, what are you guys talking about? And I don't know if there's a difference between seeing it live in a game versus watching it at home. I don't know if there's a difference between the all of that's right in the middle of the game versus when you guys sit down and actually do the film study and go, okay, no, here's what's actually going on. I suspect there is, but the sheer meltdown that I've seen people go out this year. I mean, there's criticisms to be fair, but and I don't know. You guys tell me about the Rams game. Was it as bad as people talked about? Because I don't live. I didn't feel like it was that bad of a game. I mean, I wish we would have won. And there were certainly some things left out there that we could have done better. But as an overall thing, I don't know, it wasn't that bad, was it? Am I wrong?
Plus, take it away.
I am.
No, I don't think you're wrong. I mean, I'll tell you what. I mean, for every loss, I have to go, or even loss or win, I have to go get ice cream. After the game. After the game, I have to do that. It's just like a ritual, just to brighten up my spirits, whether it be disappointment or happiness. So
winners win and losers lose, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Losers still win.
Yeah. So I have to do that pretty much every week. But I mean, as far as what you're saying, I think there's still things to be positive, whether it's a win or a loss. Again, you learn, you learn from your wins. You learn from your losses as well. So, putting things in perspective, I think, is very important. So, these people, I mean, they go off the rails because they see one loss. I mean, again, there are 16 games. There's still opportunities to get more wins, which we have in front of us. Again, we control our own destiny to get in the playoffs, Exactly. So there's a lot of things that we should be pretty proud about this team so far. Again, there's things that need to be worked on, and hopefully they continue to do so, build the chemistry, get better. We've seen the loss of Vita Vea and what it's caused to this defense. I mean, the impact, I think we're starting to see it. Obviously, you can scheme and you can do all these things so much and so many times, but eventually, offenses are going to catch on, and they're finding the weaknesses. And now it's up to the coaching staff to find more adjustments, which I think they've done, with the addition of a Khalil Davis on pass rush situations. We saw what he did last week, and that was good work. So, there's just continued little things that we're going to continue to get better at. Hopefully that leads to wins going forward. The rest of the way. Yeah.
Let me touch on that as well. So everyone's, I think social media is just an outlet to get your emotions out.
Right.
So that, I mean,
a lot of overreaction.
Stay away from that in general, because it's just going to get you mad. Because a lot of the times, emotional outlook of it, you see all these Pro Bowl stars on one damn team. You're like, oh, we should be winning nonstop. That's the emotional, illogical way of thinking it. Then you look at the logical way. This is a new quarterback that hasn't had a 20-year vet. Yes. Again, that's why everyone says, oh, we already know it. New offense, totally new offense. Everyone in this system has been in it 1 year. Now this is their second year going into it, and they're supposed to adapt to this quarterback. The time is not going to be there. You got to think it's not going to click just because you have a veteran coming into a team that's ready to rock and roll. I mean, really, that's why Brady's here 2 years. He thought year 2 would be it.
Right.
And we're all expecting year 1 and 2. But we're still in the running to actually make that run. So once the Bucs actually make the playoffs, which they should, to be honest,
right,
you never know what the hell can happen. I mean, I would be more mad at the Saints game than at the Rams game. The Saints game, you just got totally outcoached. You did nothing correct. Scheming-wise, I don't know what the hell came out with that. I was more pissed at that one than the Rams game. The Rams game, you're in the game. You're close. Yes, you still didn't do things where we vividly said this is what they're going to run. And we as fans saw this. I don't know how the coaches didn't see that. So, but that's to the point. But then you see times where nothing works, and you see times where everything works. So that's what frustrating. Pull your hair out of your damn head.
Right. Because you go back to the Packers game and you're going, we just did that.
Yeah, but we're down 10-0 again. Where people are like, oh, here we go. They're going to stomp our ass. And then we dominate.
Right. And then you come out the next one, you get down 10-0 and you're like, we'll be all right. You see what we did with the Packers? And then all of a sudden we're looking at 45-3 and you're like, what?
Yeah. Because that's what I felt with the Chiefs game. I'm like, oh, we're not out of this. I mean, 17, we got this.
Right.
That's how I felt in the Saints game too. But shit. But I mean, I have a feeling based off of Tom Brady they're going to make a run. I mean, this is kind of leading off to our next point of where do you see us going?
Yeah.
I'll let you answer it before I divulge.
It's hard. Like, this is where I really have to do work to separate the fan in me from the analyst in me, you know, because this is a time when the two, for me, don't necessarily match up, or at least I don't know if I can trust myself in what I'm about to say, because I look at the remaining 4 games and I think, like, legitimately the Bucs should win every single one of those. Mm-hmm. And Tom Brady, something he's here for is he's here to win the games that the Buccaneers should win. Right. I am not so confident that they're going to, though. They're playing the Falcons twice inside of 4 weeks. It's hard to beat the same team twice in a year, much less inside of 4 weeks.
Right.
For whatever reason, it just is. Now they should be able to beat this team, but we've also seen the Falcons kind of turn on since Dan Quinn got fired. You know, now they're not flying, they're not rising up or anything like that, but they're not a team to be overlooked, and we got to play them twice. The Vikings, you know, they just beat the Bears. Now, granted, the Vikings and the Bears are probably fairly evenly matched this year, but we also saw what the Bears did to us, which was just it. That was in a weird anomaly of a game that you kind of got to sweep that one under and just go, that one didn't count. You know, you can't use that to judge anything, but we should absolutely beat them. And then the Lions, God, didn't they just put a hurting on somebody this weekend?
Well, they won by like 4, I think, to the Bears.
Yep. Yeah,
they beat the Bears.
Yeah.
They beat the Bears. Wait, I thought the Vikings beat the Bears. Anyway, whatever it was.
Vikings beat Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's what it was.
Squeaked it out in overtime.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was Jacksonville. Wow.
Yeah.
And so, like, I'm sitting here looking at all 3 of these teams that we're going to be facing, and I'm going, we should beat them, but I don't know that I want to. I don't know that I could just overlook that either. You know what I mean? So the fan in me wants to go, yeah, we're going 4-0 in the last quarter of the season. We're going to wind up 11-5. We're good. That's fine. You know? And people want to go, yeah, but you only beat the bad teams. Look, you can only play the teams that are in front of you. You only play the teams that are in front of you. And you know what? I would rather walk into the playoffs on a 4-game win streak. You know, I don't care if it's against bad teams or not, where this team is should be at that point at least clicking. Are they going to? I don't know. I think these next 4 weeks are going to be a lot tougher than some people are giving them credit for, because they see them as easy games. And yeah, I'll be interested to see what happens. I don't know. What about you guys? I'm not as positive, I think, as I want to be. I think we should, but I don't know.
I'll say this. I talked to Plus about this prior to the live stream.
Yeah.
I see this Vikings game as similar to like the Carolina Panthers game, where, okay, yeah, maybe they do get somewhat of a lead, but we outmatch them anywhere you look at it across the line.
Okay.
So we should dominate that game, to be honest. Sure. Especially a game where we're coming off a bye week. Tom Brady has more time to develop chemistry with his teammates.
Yep.
They have to have a game plan to beat Minnesota. I mean, this should be something where they come out pissed off and want to win.
Right.
And the one thing Minnesota does really well is run the ball. What do we do amazingly well? Stop the run.
Right.
So this plays into a game we should win, right? Yeah. So if it doesn't, if they come out something stupid, then I'd be concerned. But I honestly think they should come out pissed. But this should be them learning, okay, well, now we got to make our way to be this team that we're all trying to be, because they can easily do it. I mean, like you were saying, like, let's click over here. Yeah, we're beating the winnable games. But then again, the Chargers were supposed to be a winnable game. And this was actually a close game. We were down in that game. The Giants were supposed to be a game we're supposed to dominate. We barely won. They probably should have won off of a flag in the end zone, but didn't get called. And then we dominate here, but really it was 17-17 at halftime. We're down 17-0. So in my eyes, this truly should be 4 wins in a row. Truly. But again, can we expect the Bucs to do what we see on tape of attacking weaknesses? I don't know. That's what makes me question. But based on pure talent and the way they can just run all over teams, not run, forgive me, pass all over teams.
Right.
Because they don't decide to run. I don't know why. They should They should. I mean, that's
what I'm saying. They should.
Yeah.
Will they? I don't know, but they should, right?
Yeah.
Like,
and I agree with what you guys are saying. And I look at these 4 games, you look at the individual matchups. The Bucs match up very well against every one of these teams.
Sure.
The Falcons, I think we match up really good with. It comes down to, what we do as a team as far as execution. And when I say that, that's what's the hesitant part because of the inconsistency that we discussed earlier about the approach and how we game plan and how we do certain things against certain teams. But when you're looking at it, this should be an easy, not easy, but a 4 win in a row, ending the season. We should be able to take care of business and do what we're supposed to do. And I agree that, with what Mark said, as far as the Panthers matchup, I see it very similar. Vikings, the Lions all have, inefficiencies on both sides of the ball that you can attack, and it plays well to our strengths. But again, it comes down to the Buccaneers. Can they be consistent and how they're going to approach these games? Can they be week in, week out, doing the right things, utilizing what works and what, staying away from what doesn't work, and really getting after it and showing up business-like, and really having that approach and taking care of business.
Plus I'll go back to something you said, a few minutes ago. The Bucs control their own destiny here.
Absolutely.
Because look, the Bucs go out 4-0 here over the next quarter. They're ending 11-5. They're in the playoffs.
Right.
Like, no matter what, they're in the playoffs at that point. Like, we've done the math. They can't win out and not make the playoffs at this point. Right. So if the Bucs go out and execute, because if the Bucs don't show up, or they have really crappy game plans and they don't put people in position to win, regardless of what they say they're doing, or whatever, they beat themselves. They put themselves out there. Neither the Vikings, the Lions, or the Falcons are going to come in and just outmatch the Buccaneers.
Right.
That's not going to happen. So you're right. It's going to be, if the Buccaneers lose, they kind of did it to themselves, right? And so in that case, you're right. The Buccaneers are controlling their own destiny. I have a question for you guys, though, if I may. Speaking of, how did we get to 7-5? And I really want to focus on like these last 3-4 games where I think we've gone 2-2, 1-3 over these last 4 games.
1-3. Yeah.
1-3. How much of that do you guys think has been affected by having a bye week that's so late? Like, these guys just being tired and worn out and needing a little bit of break. What do you guys think? Like, is there something to read into that? And how do you expect them to come out this coming week a little bit refreshed and revitalized?
Yeah, I think that's a factor. I think it definitely plays a part. But at the same time, I mean, they have a job to do. Their job is to execute, what is called and, what the game plan is. And coaches have to coach, players have to play. We hear all that all the time. But
right.
Yeah, no, I definitely feel like it's a factor. It could be a factor with Tom Brady and, maybe the lack of effectiveness in the deep ball as we've seen lately. The little attention things that have gone, wary, like whether, running the right hot route or, not tripping over each other guys, feet, when you're running a route or something like that. And, miss assignments on defense, guys trying to do too much. But I mean, yeah, I would put it like on a small scale, though, as far as that being an overall big factor of win or loss. But yeah, it definitely has some type of impact. And I think the bye week should definitely help them. And you hope to see an energized team and come out with like some hunger and fight for sure, this week.
I think it's very little. I mean, but we're in every game besides the one Saints game,
right,
which I think was just a coaching mistake. But I mean, I want to bring up this one quick point Raymond said on Facebook. He said, yeah, but they've beaten all the teams that were supposed to, except for Chicago. So if you go back over to the schedule again, he's right. The only reason why we lost Chicago is they have a good defense. Do any of these teams have good defenses? Plus, Brent?
Oh, no. I mean, no, the defenses are poor.
Yeah, so to me, I mean, let me bring his – yeah, so these 4 games, poor defenses. Atlanta was getting routed nonstop like just a few weeks ago, and now you're expecting them to stop high-powered offense by Tom Brady, Gronk, AB, Mike Evans. Yeah, we need to execute correctly, but still, this isn't a sound defense that's going to be able to stop us. Do they have the firepower to beat our firepower? I don't necessarily think so. Like logically, I would say we should logically, but then again, the Bucs do things where they make you think, "What the hell? Why are you keeping these guys in the game?" That's the only thing that bothers me. Should we run the ball more? Yes. Will we run the ball? We don't know. And it's funny that Jones is that high up in the top 5 of rushing in the league, and we barely run the ball. So it blows my mind. Some of the things it just blows my mind. But to me, yes, we should win against the teams that we should win against. So, and those are 4 games to me. Like if I saw that right now, it's just maybe the coaches needed the bye week more than the players. I'll say that.
Hopefully.
Maybe that's what it was.
Hey, good news. In the bye week, they only had to prepare for 3 teams instead of 4. So.
Jeez. Oh.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, so Brent, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Overall, Brady, what he's brought to Tampa, what he's done for the team, what he's done for, I guess, the community. How do you feel you think he's been accepted easily, even though some people are still thou that shall not be named quarterback? Like, how do you think he's adapted into the Tampa community? Do you think people are behind him? I think you go talk to someone in face to face, they love him. I think you talk to someone about it in social media, it's a whole other vibe for some reason. So I want to know, what is your stance on that?
I think the people that are very vocal about the former quarterback are very, very vocal. But I think percentage wise, they're very few in number, who are that like adamant, you know. Now, look, I wanted to see Jameis stay around. I really did. I hoped he was going to, but I understood the change for sure. And I probably would have made the same call. I just wanted to see a little bit more longevity than 2 years. But if that's the thing that's holding you back from getting a trophy now, then you make the change and then you worry about it afterwards. Right. And like, I get it. I totally get it. I will say this, and I think a lot of people in Tampa probably are feeling the same thing is, look, I've spent the last 20 years hating Tom Brady.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I've spent the last 20 years hating Tom Brady, and now I got to cheer for this guy. And I got to tell you, 12 games into the season, it didn't even take me 12 games. It took me maybe 6. I went, okay, I kind of like this guy. I see why they liked him. And I'm just going to say that my experience is probably the vast majority of Tampa Bay fans' experience as well, is you really look at that, the Brady effect, as they call it, you know, and I like what I'm seeing, and I like where they are. And, you know, again, this is, I mean, Mark, I think you said this earlier, this is still their first year. They're doing it, like, imagine what this looks like hopefully next year. And I don't know what changes next year as far as salary cap goes, where that's going down, and certain people have to be re-signed and not re-signed and different things like that. So we'll see. But I mean, I like having Tom Brady here. And if there's somebody who, you know, we talk about Bruce Arians being stuck in a system. Nobody ever talks about Brady being stuck in his system. You know, and we just heard this past week, oh, Tom's been picking the plays for the last bunch of weeks. And I'm going, really? And how? And if it's been like the last 4, then maybe we need to take that back, because we've seen the results of the last 4 weeks. But I mean, I like having him around. And, you know, I see the graphic that puts Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady up next to each other. Like, in the last 12 games, he's thrown 11 interceptions, and Aaron Rodgers has only thrown 11 interceptions in the last 8 years. And I'm like, okay, look, you go and look at the stats of all the quote unquote elite quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers is a freak, and you have to take him out of the conversation. That's not a fair comparison. But where were we this time last year with our former quarterback? And what was, you know, the 11 interceptions isn't, can you give a quarterback 1 interception a game? Maybe less. Three quarter, 1 interception every game in a quarter, game and a half, something like that over the course of I mean, that's about average, right? 12, somewhere in that 12 to 14 is about normal for a good quarterback.
Right.
I mean, I'm at, you guys know these stats better than I do.
I would say less than 10, but that's just me.
Well, yeah, I mean, you have your elite.
Brad Johnson only had 6 interceptions our Super Bowl year, so
yeah, you have elite quarterbacks.
So what lower?
Yeah, elite quarterbacks don't really throw them. Usually you're under 10.
Happen, right?
Yeah, usually you're under 10, but
okay.
It really depends on, again, it's the offense and what's your touchdown to interception ratio.
Yeah,
Tom Brady's on pace for I think over 35 touchdowns this year.
Yeah.
Right now I believe how many interceptions these guys got, about 12, I believe, or around 11. That number. 11. Okay.
I think it's 11. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you look at it, right there, and he's on pace to be the highest.
Mahomes has 2.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Right. Yeah.
2 and 31. I mean,
that's elite level. I mean, you look at Aaron Rodgers, 36-4.
Yeah.
So
here's the thing that if I could put a knock on Tom Brady is these last several interceptions he's thrown, 3, maybe 4, have been very reminiscent of our former quarterback to me. Am I right? Like, am I reading that right? Like, it's not just hey, that was that didn't bounce off somebody's head and the other guy came down. Or somebody tried to catch it off their back. Like, that was a bad decision and a really bad throw, like from the GOAT, right? Like, am I reading that wrong?
Well, I don't think you're wrong. I think it's yes and no. I mean, there's been interceptions where it's the right read, it's the right throw, but the execution just wasn't there because of a missed assignment here, or he gets hit while he's thrown. Last week the 2 interceptions last week, perfect example. The throw to Scotty Miller was the right read, just the execution fell short. Same thing with the Mike Evans. He was supposed to run a hot route, he doesn't run it correctly. Ball gets tipped up in the air, intercepted. You go back, to the Rams game. You had, the crazy tip to Rojo. I believe that was it, where it like bounced out, or was that the Saints game? I don't know. They're all going together, but there was just bad breaks. Yeah.
Hey, but the out routes are the ones that remind me of Jameis, and that's when everyone's like, get those things out of the system. But then again, your system is just how you orchestrate these routes. There's only a certain amount of routes you have in a route tree to put into an offense. It's just where you put those routes in your offense. Sure. That's what people think. Oh, just take it out completely. That's why we kind of always put an out route in our offensive film study, just to say, oh, Buck fans, we ran an out route. We didn't take it out. Just kind of like a joke, kind of laughing right at them. But you don't take out a route. It's the quarterback's decision when to throw it. Yes, he threw 2 bad ones to Justin Watson. Justin Watson hasn't run a damn out route since. Barely seen the field since. Yeah. But, I mean, to me, Brady's making good reads. The Rams, that was a kind of piss poor reads. Like that late throw to Cam Brate, I don't know what the hell that one was. I think he just got confused. Mm-hmm. And some of this is just more, again, getting habits where he had in the Patriots for 20 years. Now it's a completely different habit. Supposedly, Bruce Arians' hot routes are totally different from a normal, if they blitz in here, just stop in the gap. Supposedly he asked them to keep going up the field, which is weird. I don't know why the hell he does that. But that's just part of the game where he's going to have to learn and just adapt to this system. I mean, it's not just a system quarterback. So he's proven a lot of good things. I'll be honest about that. There's some damn passes he makes. I'm like, how? Like, that's special. Like, he still has the arm. He still has everything you want. It's just more getting everything to click, and then the offensive play caller to help him out, moving things around, running the ball. I think you're very close to seeing how good they can be. It's just it's
a lot of it's a lot of sequencing is the big issue. How they run plays together, and then how do they make that flow? That's a big issue right now, especially with Byron Leftwich in this offense. It's getting that consistent. Okay, this is the approach we're going to take. We see the matchups and we go from there and attack it consistently.
Okay, something funny. I'll bring this up. Last year, we ran the ball against, I think it was the 49ers, like 6 or 7 times in a row. Mm-hmm. I would not be opposed to see that happening. Just do it. Boom, boom, boom. Because we're going to pick up 3.5 every damn time. Yeah. Throw that off. No offense, no defense coordinator is going to think, they have Tom Brady. They're going to run the ball 100 times. Mm-hmm. do something a little bit out of the norm so you can get back to what your normal is.
Yeah.
Playing chess, not checkers, but
you know, I mean, like I posited the idea, and I think I'm saying this very tongue in cheek. I want to say that at the outset, right? Mm-hmm. But I was like, do you think Todd Bowles is playing so much soft zoned and all this sort of stuff just to throw people off? Because when we get to the playoffs, like he's all of a sudden going to attack everybody and switch it back. Like, is that what he's doing here? He's playing the long game on this one and not worrying about the actual individual week to week. Is that possible? That's foolishness. That's not it. But it's man, that'd be great if he came back at the end of the season and went, that's what I was doing.
It's what I do.
I do. How I roll. We made it, didn't we?
Right? That's something someone said about the out routes. Like, oh, he's throwing these interceptions on purpose because in the playoffs, they're going to do an out and up and it's going to be wide the hell open. I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's not happening. But the defense is a whole other thing. I think defensively, it's just more guys being in their assignments. They got the ability. Yes, losing Vita Vea is huge, but I still think that front four can get after it.
I mean, okay, let me again. You guys track this stuff way more than I do. All right, if you guys haven't picked up on it yet, I'm more of the I don't necessarily remember all the individual things. I just sort of remember the feeling it gave me as a fan, and my co-host Ren is like the steel trap of a mind. You know, we were third down and long in the second quarter, 2 minutes remaining, and we lied. I mean, he just it's crazy how he does that. But since we've lost Vita Vea, where have the Bucs been in terms of stopping the run game? Like losing Vita is huge, absolutely huge. And if I could get one guy back between Vita and OJ, I'm going to pick Vita every single time.
Oh yeah.
But there hasn't been that much of a drop off in the run defense, has there?
No. Where the big drop off comes is their pressure game and how they generate that pressure. Because Vita was a guy that could just him and Ndamukong Suh, they draw 4 guys on them because they each require a double team. Vita, could just eat up that space so well. That would allow our blitzers to get in so more effectively and easier. Devin White, Levante David, the safeties coming in off the edge, et cetera. So there's a lot of different
Vita
things.
He picks up the center, and all of a sudden the quarterback can't climb the pocket anymore because the center's right there in his face.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where, Shaq Barrett, at his game, I mean, it takes a big hit and JPP, same thing, because that pressure up the middle, it forces the quarterback to go backwards. He has nowhere to step up. You get that edge pressure. That's where you get your sacks. Right. So they're starting to do some different things to generate that middle pressure. Obviously, the Khalil Davis, I think, is a nice wrinkle that they might have found. And I hope that continues because he did well when they rushed forward with him and, did some different things. So that's a positive, and hopefully that continues. But yeah, Vita Vea is a big loss. And you just see like teams taking advantage of the flats, and they're seeing the short routes there, and then they find ways to go downfield because of it. They get our safeties come up, play different coverages. There's things that just open up because of the Vita Vea not being in there.
Yeah, because the only weaknesses I see in this defense is way over the top or there's short area in the flats.
Right.
And it's either around it or over the top. In the middle, if Devin White's doing his thing or the pressure gets in, it's hard to execute a pass against us. It's hard. You're either getting run over or you're getting hit really hard right after you deliver the pass. Like Teddy Bridgewater was a candidate of that. Where JPP knocked the crap out of him, but he completed like almost a 40-yard pass. So you're going to get dinged up if you do execute a play. But
man, he's going to remember that for the rest of the game too. Right?
Absolutely. So it's stuff where you want to see them consistently do that as well. Like formulate these ways to generate pressure instead of sitting back, like you're saying. And that Saints game again, that's all I always keep going back to it because it was like a perfect storm of terrible coaching and timing of everything. So
3-man rush. No,
it's hard. It's hard not to look on this season through the lens of the Bears game, the second Saints game, and a couple of really bad individual plays here and there, because like I said, at the end of the day, this is the highest scoring offense we've ever had as a team. And we've had some really high scoring offenses over the last 6 years. Right. that, you know, the team is 7-5 and in control of their own destiny, playing meaningful football in December. Mm. And somebody out there is going, we need a new coach.
Yeah, I mean, being optimist, we could have only lost.
Jason Light can't assemble a team. I'm sorry, Mark.
So that's always the go-to. But being the optimist, we probably could have only lost 2 games.
Right.
I mean, we could have won this game. If we don't kick a field goal, the Chiefs are trying to come back against us.
Yeah,
and that where Gronk was wide open. Brady missed that. That's a Brady mistake. Yeah. But stuff like this, that Rams game, we had plenty of opportunities to take the lead as well. Chicago, I don't know what the hell that was, but really, we should have just only lost the Saints games.
Yeah.
But then pessimistic.
And I hate that tears me a new one. Yeah. Of anybody on the schedule I didn't want to lose to, it'd be those guys. I'd be okay losing a game to the Falcons. Like, I'll trade both those Saints games for 1 loss to the Falcons and 1 loss to the Panthers. I just don't want to lose to the Saints because, God, I hate those guys.
Great coach team. That's all you can say.
Yeah.
Pisses me off too.
Yeah, exactly.
But other than that, so are we making the playoffs or are we not?
I think yes, I think we are. We did a whole show over the bye week of what are all the variables going into the playoffs as far as the rest of the teams in the NFC and what does that look like? And as long as the Bucs, I think if the Bucs win at least 2, they're probably in the playoffs. Regardless, they're going to need some help if they lose 2. In each one they win more than that. If they win 3, they need less help. If they win 4, they're in on their own. So, I think this team is playoff bound. The question I have, and I've had this since the second Saints game, I want to say, is great. We get to the playoffs. How are we going to play against a playoff team in a playoff atmosphere? Because great, we can beat up on the Panthers a couple times a year. We can beat up on the Lions or the Falcons, or we can beat up on these teams. We had that one really good game against the Packers. What team's going to show up in the playoffs? Is it going to be the Packers Buccaneers, or is it going to be the Saints Buccaneers? And that's the question I have when we get into the playoffs, because I don't want to just get to the playoffs, guys. Like the mountaintop to me is not the playoffs. Ooh, we made the playoffs. We haven't made the playoffs in 13 years. Ooh, we made the playoffs. This season was great. No, I want a legitimate deep run shot at the Super Bowl. And I'm not saying this team is going to the Super Bowl if they're going to win. I hope they do. I think they could. They have all the talent in the world. There's no reason why they really shouldn't be able to. But will they? I don't know. That's
I mean, that is my concern. Once they get there, it's going to come down to the coaching staff. I think that is what is going to hold this team back if they do get held back. It's about, hopefully they figure out what we've been talking about as far as finding that consistent approach, how they're going to attack these teams and find the right way to go about it. I mean, it's right there in front of them. They have the answers. Are they going to take advantage of it? The play action works. We know that. Running the football rojo, doing the things that just very simple things. All you have to do is just do it consistently. That's all we're asking. And, but yeah, they control their own destiny. And once they do get in the playoffs, I think they can be a dangerous team because of this talent that we have. But, how are they going to approach it? What is it going to be on both sides of the ball?
They're going to get in their way of themselves until they don't.
Right.
That's how I feel like it's going to be.
Yeah.
But Brent, geez, shoot me for that one. I don't know what I was thinking of that. I saw the BREN. Thought Ren.
There you go.
I'll save myself right there. Well, that Brent. So let everyone know where they can find you, where they can follow you, all that good stuff. And
if you guys want to get in touch with me personally, I'm at Brent Allen Live across all the social medias. And if you want to follow the show, we're at the Pewter Cast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You can find us on YouTube, subscribe to us there. And like I said, we have our post-game show that we do. We have a couple of shows that we do midweek. So you guys come over and check us out there. We've got coming up here real soon. our annual Pewter Cast Awards show where fans get to vote. We had over 22,000 people vote in our last one, which was just fantastic. And you know, players actually get a little thing, and actually there's a couple of them right there behind me now.
Yeah.
And it's a cool little thing. So yeah, we have a lot of fun over there. So you guys come join us.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Holy cow. Well, Brent, thank you very much for coming on. It was awesome. It was a blast. Hopefully we can actually get some execution of things that we've talked about.
Yeah.
But other than that, thank you again. Plus, until the next one, Brent, until the next one.
All right.
See ya.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.